Okay, good day, everyone. This is Jason speaking. Can you hear me? Today, we are going to start the development. We are going to start the development of the web application group. So first, let me share my screen. Okay, and first of all, let's review our training schedule in the document. And we can say yesterday we already finished the preparation before the development, before we start the coding. And we already downloaded the products at desktop, at server, at client, and we also downloading and import the data of OSM and administrative data from Divage's website. And we are going to, and we already process the data and make the map using a desktop and publish the service using a server. So today, we will start the training from the day 2. And today our task is not hard. We need to show the data and online base map on web browser using Supermap iClient. And also, we need to achieve some toolbar functions, such as the distance measurement, area measurement, and full extent function. Okay, so the first step of our today is we need to start up our iServer. Yesterday, we already unzipped the iServer package, and we already published the service using our iServer. And so today we just need to start it up. At the same time, I want to explain to you about the package of Supermap iClient. After you download the Supermap iClient package from the document I shared yesterday, you will get a zip file like this, Supermap iClient 1012.zip. And after you unzip it, you will get a folder. And inside of the folder, we can see there is a dist and examples. In the dist, these are the source codes of Supermap iClient, such as we will use the open layers, and these are the source codes of iClient for open layers. And in the examples, there are a lot of samples based on the Supermap iClient. We need, and this time we can go to the open layers to take a look. And then we can say there are some images to show the there are some images and a lot of HTML, which are the source code. Which are the sample codes of demos, such as the layer service, the map query by bounds, map query by distance, map query by geometry. If we open one of them, we can see all of the source code of this demo. But at the same time, if you visit the Supermap iClient website and then go to Open Layers and click Examples, because on the website, when we click on it, we can get the source code. Let me hide the video. Yeah. We can get the source code of this demo like this. And also, as I mentioned yesterday, we can edit the code online and click run to modify this demo. It will be very helpful for us to understand the. And besides of the samples of open layers, we can see there is a JS file, and this file is used to deploy the demo. And we can see there is include web.js, and when we open it, we can get that it loads a lot of JS library and style file, which is .css on this file. So So for today, we will, based on the examples, open layers, this structure to start our work. All right. It seems iServer already started. Then we can go to the our iServer homepage, which is localhost 1890 iServer. And in the services, we can see we already published the map service named as Map Cadastral Workspace REST. And we go to the map service. There's a map, cadastral map. And when we click into the map, we can see the center, the bounds, the size of tiles of this map. These are, and also the projection. So these are all the basic information of this map. Okay, and before we start the coding, we need to create a folder to store our code, to store our project. And there are two ways to publish our web application. Yeah, before the development, we always publish our web application to based on a middleware, such as using the Tomcat, or the second way to publish the application is we can use like IIS to deploy our web application to the internet, to the network. Okay, so the first one is we need to create a folder to contain our project. And for today, we will based on the structure of iClient. So I will directly copy this file to the Supermap iServer folder and put it in the web apps. If you are familiar with the Tomcat or with the middleware, it's very easy to deploy an application based on the Tomcat. That is, we can just put our project folder to the web apps folder of Tomcat. And as I mentioned yesterday, iServer is also one of the application deployed based on the Tomcat. Okay, now we already put this folder here, and if we go to the window of iServer, we can see from here the iServer web apps Supermap iClient 1012 already been deployed in 13 milliseconds, 30 ms. So from now, actually, we already can access the Supermap iClient through the IP plus port format in the web browser, such as the port of iServer is 1890. We always use localhost 1890 to visit the iServer, but now we already can visit it, such as, for example, I will go to one like map service. Okay, so we can follow the path of folder to visit the file, like localhost 1890, and then Supermap iClient 1012 examples, open layers, and 01 map service.html. Okay, now we can see we already can use the localhost and 1890 to visit the file in the folder. But if we open it directly, it will show the path in local, like the file, and I put it in the E disk and the products iServer, Supermap iServer, so yeah, let's continue. So after we deploy our iClient folder into web apps, Supermap iServer, we already can visit visit the HTML from localhost 8090. And of course, if there is another PC has the same network environment with me, so they can replace the local host to the IP of my PC and to visit this HTML. Okay, and then here I prepared one framework for all of us to start the development. This is the interface template, and the interface template is based, as I mentioned, it is based on the structure of examples of open layers. And we can see inside of it, there are some library and this one is come from the JS file include web.js, and it will use a lot of JS file and the style file from the iClient. So and also for this file, I will upload it to the Google Classroom after this training. Okay, so when we start, we can copy this file to our example open layers file, yeah, which is here, the JS context. And then if we go to our package, we go back to the web browser and modify the name to JS context.html. We can see this is the framework, the interface to support our development. And on the left side, there are two sidebars, the tab 1, tab 2, and I gave you some example for text and input bar and some button. And in the table 2, there is a button and a table, yeah, in the tab 2. And on the right side, the empty area, we will put a map on it. Okay, so this is already our, this is the template of our development work. And next is we need to use some editing tool. We need to use some editing tool to help us to start the programming. And you can just use the Notepad++. It has no problem. But the Notepad++ is not very good at start a project for programming. So there are also some editors, some code editor, such as the VS Code or Visual Studio or anyone you want or anyone you already have. And from my side, personally, I'm familiar with this software, which is HBuilder, and but you don't need to use the HBuilder the same as me. You can just use any code editor as you want. So here in the HBuilder, I will open the folder. I will put our folder. I will put the folder of iClient inside of this one, web apps and Supermap iClient 1012. I will open this one. This folder, and inside of it, we can see the examples, and there are the open layers, and we can find the JS context. Yeah, here. This is the JS context code. I just put in the folder. Let me close all of the tab and only start this one. So this is the template, the interface template, and I want to explain it to you first. In order to use the iClient for open layers, we need to use the include ol.js, which is the source code of iClient for open layers, and it comes from the dist. dist ol and include ol.js. And in order to have some the ready-to-use JS files such as jQuery or such as Bootstrap, and also the we can say we only use the Bootstrap and jQuery from the JS file, from the JS folder. So here I include the Bootstrap and jQuery. And after that, there are some style or CSS file or some style code, like each is to define the style of sidebar. We can say all of them are the sidebar. And there is another one to define the pop-up. And for the pop-up, actually, we don't need to use it today, but tomorrow, when we want to achieve the function of clicking the building to query, and there will be a pop-up appear and show the attributes of this building, we will use this. And besides of it, and then we go to the body of the HTML file, and inside of the body there are already some HTML code. First, there is a div. There is a div ID is map, and the style, we just set the style vest is 100% and height is 100. So this is the div we need to use. We need to use to show the map. And then the second div is a sidebar. Yeah, sorry, we can see the class, the sidebar config web, and all of our sidebar elements will be defined inside of this div. And we can see this div is from here to here, and all of them are the sidebar. And of course, we won't use it directly. These are only some examples. Later, we will add a lot of buttons, a lot of functions to the sidebar, and we will modify it. So no need to worry about it. And then there is a script. In the script, we need to write the JS code here, and now it's empty. So the first step to start coding is to add our map into this HTML. Always when we want to achieve something, we can always refer to the sample code of iClient.supermap.io, such as today our map is in the WGS 1984 projection. The coordinate projection is, and the EPSG code of this coordinate projection is 4326. And so we can refer to this demo, which is 4326 coordinate system. And this is only to show us how to add a 4326 projection file, or 4326 projection map, how to show it and how to render it. Okay, and in the document I already put it here. Let me from your side, you can just copy this code to, you can put this kind of code to, and you can put this kind of code to the code editor, and inside of the script. Okay, and yeah, I put it like this. So here I will explain to you one by one. First, we need to define the object of map and URL, and this map and URL are the global objects, global varieties. And for the map, the URL should be the URL from iServer, and it need to point to the map we want to show. So for the URL, we need to modify it from our from our server. And in this level, when you can see the center and you can see the basic information of this map, you can copy this link and then put it as a URL. And then we need to define the map. First, the target means which div you want to show the map. So as I explained earlier, there is a div we prepared to show the map, and the ID is map. So here we just put the map. This is the ID of div, and then we want to and then we can put some default controls to the map. There is only an online control.defaults and attribution options, and then we here we also put some extent to show the supermap.control logo in the corner of the map. And the view means the view means when we define the map, if we set the view, that means we set the default view when we start the map. And we can see inside of the view, the class of view is ol.view. And we need to set the center, which is the center point of the map. We want to set the center point of the map. And we can get the center point from iServer. And here, this is the center point coordinate. Of course, if you want to set some other, default view, you can modify this coordinate as you want. And the zoom is a default zoom index. And then the projection is APS-G4326. The multi-word is true. Multi-word means when we add this map can be drawn continuously. So this is the multi-word, and we can modify it here. If we set it as false and click run, then we can see this is what. Let me check. Multi-word. Yeah, for this kind of API, we can easily for this kind of parameters, we can check the API. And this is the API of OpenLayers, and then we can go to the view, the online view. Yeah, well, we can see here the multi-word. If false, the view is contained, so only one word is visible, and you cannot pan off the edge. If true, the map may show the multi-word as at low zoom level, only used if the projection is global. Note that if extent is also provided, it is given precedence. Yeah, so this is the meaning of the multi-word. But but in our code, we can ignore this one. And then after we define the map, we need to define a layer inside of the. We need to define the layer inside of the map, and this layer is come from. So first, it is a tile layer, and the source is come from the tile supermap REST, because we use the supermap REST map service. So and then the URL. Is the map URL we used, like this one. The projection is APS-G4326, and after that we just need to add this layer to the map.add layer. And here there is another control, which is to show the scale line. We add this control to the map. Okay, now we already finished to put a map to show our map in the page, and let's view it. Okay, now we can see this is already the map we made yesterday, and we show it, and we already show it in the map div, which is the same from we preview it in the it is the same from we preview it in the iServer. And and for the zoom index, if we set it uh, than smaller than the 15, then it will go to the smaller scales, smaller zoom index. So our first target already been finished, which is to show our map. And besides of it, we want to do the second one is we want to add a base map on it. So here I choose to use the being map, but of course you can use, of course if you want you can choose like the OpenStreetMap because our data is from OpenStreet, so the data will be totally same. Or you can also use the Google Map, but here we will just choose the being map and let me let me copy the code. Oh, it always has this the number. Okay, so we can put this code to our to the code editor to our file, and yeah, tomorrow I will find a way to I will find a way uh, to avoid this operation, like delete the number every time. Okay, and after we add the layer to the map, we can define a new layer which is a being map layer. And the class of being map layer is also the open layers dot layer dot tail. And visible is true, preload is infinity, and the source it is the default source of open layers, which is ol.source.being maps. And for being maps, you always need to have a key. And this key you can apply it using your Microsoft account, and you can get the free key to access to the being map. And of course, you can also use this one in the document. And the imagery site, I set it as aerial, and yeah, if we set it like this, it will show the satellite-based map as a base map. But if we set it, we can also switch it to like the road or the yeah, I think the parameter is road from being map. But we already have the vector, so we just need the satellite image. And it's the same, we need to add this layer to the map. And let's take a look at our, yeah, now we can see there is already the being map. But the problem is this being map is on the upper of our vector map. It's not correct, it's incorrect. So that's because of the turn of layers in the map. The layer which we added later, then it will be on the upper, on the top of others. So if we want to show our vector layer on the top of a base map, we need to put this part of code to before we add our layer. So here I will give it a node, create a being map there, and add it before the iServer service layer. Okay, now let's take a look again. And yeah, now we can see our vector layer is already on the top of being map. And yeah, and this part is in the Malaysia. Then all of the small square are the buildings, and the green part is the land use type. Okay, so we already achieved our first target today, which is show the data and online base map on web browser using iClient. And the second one is we want to add some functions in the toolbar. We want to add some measurement, distance measurement, area measurement, and full extent function in the toolbar. So before we achieve this kind of function, we need to create a toolbar, right? We need to create a toolbar. So we can go back to our code and then find the body part to modify the div, and we want to create we want to add a new div and set the style of it. So first we need to add toolbar div and the CSS. This time I will. Sorry, this time I will copy the code from the application I already developed. Then we don't need to. Yeah, this one. So for the toolbar here, I added this div inside of the body, and then we copy it, go back to our current code, and put it here. And in this div, actually, it's very easy to be understand. So first, the div has the ID, which is toolbar, and the class is the panel primary and toolbar. Then there are some panel body content, and inside of the panel body content div, I added a lot of buttons. But today we only need each, like measure distance, measure area, clear draw full extent, and we don't need others now. Okay, so after and inside of the toolbar, there are some buttons. The first button is the measure distance, and I gave it the ID as measure distance, and then give it a click function. The onClick is the function measure distance, and also the measure area, and clear the draw, because we need a clear function to clear the polygon we draw for measurement. And also in the future, we will need this button to clear all of the operations. And then we need a full extent function to set the map to the full extent. And inside of the button, there is actually it is an icon, and this icon is come from the Bootstrap. But on your side, if you don't want to use the default icon from Bootstrap, you can also choose anyone you want. You can put an image here, and here. From my side, I just choose the icon from Bootstrap, and for measure distance, I use the graphic icon tag, and the measure area, I use the text, and then the clear draw, I use the erase, the full extent, I use the full screen. So I can find the default icon from it. And besides of the div, we also need to add the class, add the CSS file, CSS code, which is here. Toolbar. Yeah, I put the toolbar here, and the toolbar is to the toolbar code. This code is to define the style of our toolbar, and the position we set it as absolute. Then we give it a fixed position as right 65 px, top 8 px. And the text element is center, the background, the index is a level of this div, and the border radius is 4px. Okay, after that we go back to our code. Then we can say the toolbar is shown here. The first one is measure distance. The second one is measure area. The third one is to clear all of the functions. And the last one is for set the full extent. Okay, and next we need to achieve the JS file. And before we achieve the JS file, it is highly suggested for us to create an independent JS to put the specific functions. And of course, you can put it here. It totally has no problem to put all of your JS file into the HTML. But it will be, if the project is big, it will be hard for us to manage all of them, to manage the code. So this time in this project, I will create a new folder inside of the JS, give it a name such as JS contest, and then create a new JS file, and set it as toolbar. Okay, and create. All right. So inside of the toolbar JS, inside of the toolbar JS now is empty. So first we need to reference this toolbar.js to our HTML code. I will directly copy the code from the earlier project. Okay, and I will put it here. So this is to this is the reference of JS contest toolbar.js. And now in the JS, we can start to write the JavaScript code. For example, if I add an alert, then every time we refresh this page, there will be an alert. Okay, so we need to start to write the code of measure. So first, this when we click the measure distance button, then it will go to the measure distance function. Okay, and we need to define a function as measure distance. Okay, and we can test it here if we add one alert inside of this function. So when we click this button, there will be an alert. So that means we bind this click event to this button successfully. Okay, and then for measure the distance, we can refer to the samples of open layers, which is here, the distance, the measure distance function. And in this one, first we need to draw. We can draw a line string. Then there will be a prompt to show the result of our measurement. And we can refer to the source code. We can refer to the source code, and then we can say from here from the 16 line until the 33 line, they are at the map. We already finished it, and then this part will be the measurement. So first we need to create a vector layer and add it to the map. And this vector layer is for showing this kind of line. Okay, and then we need to set the interaction, which is draw, and the source is the source of this vector layer. The type is line string because we want to we want to measure the distance, so we need to draw the line string. And we can set the, we need to set the interaction event. And there are two, draw start and draw end. The draw start is when we start to draw it, then the feature will be, then it will store the feature. And the draw end is when we when we double click to finish the draw, then it will call this function. And then we just need to add this draw interaction to map by map.addInteraction function. So it's not hard. And let's go back to the document I already put it here. So the first one is we need to set the measure distance function, and then we need to define the draw line, and we define a draw line and define a draw layer. And then add this draw layer. The source is a source vector. It is a vector source of layer. And these are the global variables. And for the measure distance function, it is similar with the sample code. Like we need to define the interaction or draw, and the source is get draw layer dot get source. Yeah, that is the source of this draw layer. Then the type is line string. Then then add this draw line interaction to the map. And then we define the event to do the operation after we draw the line. Okay, so the draw line and the event type is draw end. Then we can refer to the samples to define a supermap measure parameters. And for the measure parameter, we need to give the feature, the feature we draw as the parameter of this object. And then we use the supermap.measure service. And first we need to set the URL. This is the map service. And the measure distance, then we set the distance measurement parent as the parameter of measure service. Then this function is a callback function. That is, after we get the callback from the service, we get the result and what we do by this result. Okay, so let me copy this. Let me put this code to our HTML, and I will just copy it from the earlier projection. But on your side, it's suggested to write the code by yourself. Okay, and first we define a draw line as the global. We set it as global because later we need to based on this global object to clear it. Okay, so we define a draw line and the draw layer. The layer is a vector and the source is the vector source. Then the next is measure the distance, which is like this. So first we define the draw line and give it the source and type. It is a line string, and add this interaction to the map. And the draw line callback event is the draw end. After we draw end, we will get the result as EVT. We can set the name by ourselves. And so first, before we continue, let's take a look at this object. This is the feature after we draw it. Then we will log it in the console. Here, when we click this to draw a line, then the result we draw will be console.log. And we can see inside of this EVT, inside of this project, there are three parameters. The first one is feature, The second one is the target, and then the type. The type is joint, the event type. So instead of the feature, this is a typical feature of open layers. Inside of the feature, actually we always need to use the values. And now in the values, there is only one geometry. Inside of the geometry, it stores all the coordinates of every point in the line string in this feature. Okay, so based on the parameter, we need to cite. Based on the parameter, we need to cite the first is the ol.supermap.measure service. And this measure service needs the parameter of URL, and this URL is our map URL. Then the measure mode, we can set it as empty. Then it is the measure distance, and we need to set this distance measure parameter as the parameter of the service. And this one, it is a class of supermap.measure parameters. And it only has one parameter inside, which is the geometry. That is the geometry of the feature we draw. So forget the geometry. There, we need to use the feature, which is we can see, which is the EVT.feature, and then in the functions there is a get geometry. This is the get geometry. Okay, and then we will set this geometry as a parameter of measure parameter. Then set this measure parameter as a parameter of measure service. And after that, we set the callback from the server side. And then let's take a look at the callback of server side, the service result. Okay, we go back and then draw a line. Then the first console.log is the feature we draw, and the second one is the feedback from server for measurement. And we can see inside of it there is a result, and inside of the result there are three parameters. First one is area, but for this one, this is a line, so the area is multiple one. Then the distance, so this is the distance of this line. We already get the distance. The unit is meter. Okay, and now is how can we show the result? Because we just got the result, get feedback from iServer, and then we need to show it. So here, there is a built-in method for us, which is the widget, and we can use the widget.alert, show alert, and show alert. This is the content we want to show. So we go to the service result. Yeah, this one is the service result, and then dot result dot distance, right? Service result dot distance. So service result dot distance, and we set it to fixed to true. That means we only keep two number after the dot, and also we set the unit of meter. This is the unit of the unit is meter, because we can see in here the unit is meter, and we will only set it as m. Okay, but before that, here is another thing we need to notice is for the widgets, it should be included in the JS file. And for earlier in this HTML, we only include the bootstrap and jQuery. So here we also need to add the widget, which is like this. the widget store alert added here from the JS file of examples include web.js. So we need to include this widget store alert. Now let's take a look at our code. When we draw a line string, then the result will be console.log, and then there will be a prompt or an alert to show the result. So we can use this function to measure the distance on the map. Okay, and this one we can say this is 55 meters. All right, now we already finished the draw measurement, but there is a problem. Is after we draw it, we always can draw the line on the map, and there will be a lot of line. So we need another function to clear this draw, to put it as earlier. So next is we need to achieve the function of clear draw, which will be called by clicking the button of clear draw, which is this button. Okay, so the clear draw function we can also add it in the toolbar.js, and but how to clear it? First, we need to disable the draw interaction on the map. We need to disable the draw interaction on the map. So we can use the map.remove interaction and remove this draw line. So that's why we need to set the draw line as a global. Okay, so now we can take a look. Now we can take a look. When we draw a line, we can get the result, and then when we click this button, we cannot draw the line anymore. Okay, so now we already removed the interaction, but there is and for the alert we can close it by clicking close. But there is still a line on the map. So next is we need to clear this line on the map. So we can use the function of this one, which is draw layer.getSource.clear. Actually, that is we need to based on the source of draw layer and use the clear function to clear it. Okay, now let's take a look. First, we can draw a line, and then we can continue to draw the line. And when we click the clear button, then the line and the draw interaction will be cleaned. And for the alert, we can close it manually. Okay, so that's all about draw a line to do the measurement. And next, we need to achieve the function of measure the area. Actually, it's pretty similar with the draw a line. First, we need to define a global object as draw polygon. Okay, and then we need to achieve the measure area function. The measure area will be called by clicking the measure area button. And inside of it, we define the draw polygon. as the source is draw layer. That means we want to use the same layer to draw a polygon, and the type is polygon. Then add this interaction to map, and it's the same for the draw polygon. We set the event by draw end, and the distance, and then we can set the parameter. We can set the parameter by parameter for measure, and the measure service is it's the same way based on the URL, and this time the measure the method. This time the method is so. All right, let's continue. For the measure area, it is similar with the measure distance. So we just need to get the event from the get the feature from withdraw, and go to the and then use the online or supermap measure service to get the result of measurement, and use the widget alert to show the alert by the result. And it's the same in the clear draw function. We need to remove the interaction of draw polygon. Yeah. And for the layer, we don't need to clear it again because they are using the same layer, which is the draw layer. Now let's go back to our code to take a look. When we draw the polygon, we can get the area of this polygon, and then when we click clear, we can clear the interaction and to clear the polygon on the map. Okay, now we already achieved the measurement distance and area measurement function, and the last one will be the full extent. That one will be the full extent. And this one is not hard to be achieved. In the HTML, we set the onClick function as full extent. So we can define this function, and then we just need to set the view again to the map like this. And this one is similar with the first time when we load the map. And we can see here we set the view in when we define the map. But if we want to change the view, we can use the map.setView, and this is a class of ol.view. Then we give it a center, which is the same with the center point coordinates of our map, and then the zoom, and then we set the zoom index as smaller. The default one is 15, but here we set it as 11, and then it's the same projection and the same projection EPSG 4326. Now go back to the code. The default zoom index is 15, but when we click this function, then it will go to the zoom index of 11 to show the whole area of our data, which is in Selangor area of Malaysia. Okay, and of course you can modify the location, the position of the view by yourself. Such as if you want to set the zoom index as 15, which is the same with default view. So when we pan and zoom in, zoom out the map, and when we click this full extent button, it will go to the default value. It will go to the default view. Okay, and but this one I personally prefer to set it as 11. All right, until now we can take a look at our target today. First, we achieve the measurement of distance and the area, and then we find the click function of clear draw to remove the interaction of draw line, draw polygon, and clear the draw layer get source. And next is achieve the full extent function. Achieve the full extent function. We just need to set. We just need to set the. We just need to use the map.setView to set the view of map and to give it the center and zoom to give it the center and zoom to set the view of the map. Okay, so for today's homework, I hope that all of you can follow me to achieve these functions. We need to show the data and base map on web browser using iClient, and then we need to achieve the function of distance measurement, area measurement, and full extent function. So later I will upload the today's code and the template as well as and also the step document to the Google Classroom, and then you can refer to them and the recorded video to finish our task today. Okay, thank you everyone, and I'm sorry for the technical problem. Later we will combine all the video and upload them to the YouTube. All right, thank you. And please let me know if you have any question until now, okay?